All right. Obviously watching the game on Sunday, a lot of things that we could clean up. I thought our coaches attacked that really at halftime. Then obviously Sunday was a really good talking point. From an injury standpoint, Aiden Lawfrey, I think he'll practice tomorrow. If not, should be good to go by Wednesday. And Dylan Rozak, almost the same thing. I just met with Dylan about a half hour ago. Seemed to be excited. Jaheim felt a lot better running yesterday, so there's a good chance him be out there. Xavier Scott, all the X-rays were normal, so he might be a little bit sore yet tomorrow, but I expect him to practice Wednesday or Thursday. And then Justin Bowick didn't get anything, but all the X-rays were negative, so got a good chance for him to be out there Saturday as well. So excited about that. A very good football team here. Obviously, a college football playoff team a year ago. I really didn't know Siggs before him coming in the league. Obviously, had heard of him, his name, and really enjoyed the last year and a half with him in the coaches meetings. So we sat right by each other last year in LA spring meetings and had a chance to be around him. And this football team, offensively, defensively, and special teams, I think, are as well a coach as anybody will see. They definitely have complimentary football written all over it. Just the way they play, the way they talk, the way they communicate. Just very, very impressive group to watch overall. So we got our work cut out for us. I'm excited to get over there and know it'll be a good environment. I think Brent he gave me the stat that it's the first time the two ranked Illinois and Indiana teams have gone against each other since 1950. I was shocked at that. I remember being a player against Indiana. I think they had a running back named Thompson. I'll go to the living legend. Is that right? Was a really good player. I think, and obviously when they had Antoine Randall was an exceptional football talent. So. And then the last time we went over there, obviously, the fallout from that game, was one that really hurt us and stung. But hopefully, going to be better prepared on Saturday. I think we got a lot of really good football players who know how to play and have been excited to start Big Ten play, and we'll get that going this Saturday. So with that, open up for questions.
You were intentional in the training camp about have night practice.
Yeah.
You got 3 of the 4. Obviously, you knew that. But how's that manifest itself? How's it working now?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, just the basic element of the clock and the timing and catching the ball. I think the biggest challenge for guys in playing a night game is catching under the lights. Just like 11 o'clock can be a challenge where the sun is, right? Like when you're looking up catching kicks, that's probably always been my biggest issue when you're dealing with night games or early day games with the sun. So, but I think overall our guys, especially a large amount of them, even guys, you look at Hudson Clement probably played his best game on Saturday, and he played a lot of night games before coming here. And we got the 3 Wisco guys who play a lot of reps for us. They played a lot of night games at Wisconsin. So even though we're getting guys for the first time being with us, they're coming from programs that played a lot of football.
Melvin Priestley.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, he could have actually, I think, went back at the end of the game, but we just want to get Dez some reps. We hadn't really rotated guys through, and Dez just continues to be very impressive. So yeah, Melvin's clear.
Brett, when you watch Indiana run the football these first 3 games, especially what they do up front with Bob coaching their offensive line,
yeah.
Imagine you and Aaron and JMO kind of watch that and go, yeah, I've seen that before, know what that is.
Yeah, different type of run game than we had when we were together at Wisco. But yeah, Bob Bostad is in my opinion, one of the best assistant coaches I've ever had. Is just you could kind of when I was with him when we were together, not only the coaching and the development of our current team, but he did an incredible job in recruiting, building that offensive line. We built a lot of really good players. There wasn't transfer players then; they were built from within, right? And Bo just really had a very good knack at taking a player that he saw a certain skill set, and we got him in our program. And our strength coach and our strength and conditioning, the way we build them, obviously led to a lot of success, and they're doing that same thing now.
Let's talk about tempo and being very comfortable with playing with tempo. How do you guys as a staff kind of decide when to really lean into that and when it can maybe be?
Well, it really honestly kind of depends on where we are in the game, where we are on the field. If you really do a deep dive study into us, there's certain times where we'll like to go tempo, and then I think the element of surprise is always good. So we actually have done times where we last year and this year when we will go tempo when we normally hadn't. I think the other element that not a lot of people are aware of that I think Indiana is aware of is the use of the clock up down to the 15 seconds when your coaches can still talk, right? So I think that shows up on their film as well. I usually don't start watching TV copy. I watch a little bit on Sunday usually, but I'll kind of switch to the catapult or the coach's copy is what everybody calls it, right? But I actually started watching TV copy because I wanted to see how they were using the clock. So I think it's very apparent in some of the things they do as well.
You guys have wanted to build up that defensive line, defensive front rotation.
Mhm.
What do you feel like you have right now? What's that allow you to do?
Yeah,
as
so
coach?
I think a couple things. First, James Thompson is by far and established probably our best defensive lineman. Obviously, a couple edge guys that are really good players, but in the D-line room, James has just really continued 2 games now back-to-back. He's played extremely well, good physicality. I thought Pat Farrell probably had one of his better games that he's had since he's been here. And then Coonan, Eli has really continued to develop there. I thought the emergence of Tomey over the last 2 games, we got to continue to bring more out of him, but I think he's been a really nice addition to the room. And I thought I was probably most pleased inside. I thought Kurt Neal and Angelo McCollum probably played their 2 best games. Obviously, just the things that a nose does a lot of times don't pop up on the stat sheet, but we did give Angelo a co-MVP on defense. He just played with his hands really good. He's got a great little center of gravity. Kurt Neal really had to learn how to play how we play in our system, and he's done an unbelievable job. I really couldn't be happier than Kurt. He really, in my opinion, since spring to where we are today, has really stepped up his game. And when you have the ability to have 2 deep at that position, that's a big, big deal. Even T-Rod last year, as good as he was, we really didn't have someone popping in there. And to be quite honest, General Hunt comes in and does some nice things for us schematically. J-Mo I know Aaron talks about it all the time. Like, I've been around D-line coaches. I was one for a while myself. So J-Mo's ability to reach, connect, and develop D-linemen is unprecedented. I think that's why we've had the success we had. But even like today, we had an academic Zoom, and Tomey had, I think, 4 A's going right now. And he was a guy to remember that first couple months with him. I was pulling my hair out when I went to an academic Zoom about him, and he's a lot of fun. He was screaming donut on the sideline Saturday. Like, he's a really engaging kid, and I think we got him wired the right way now, and hopefully the sky's the limit.
And it's been a long time since Illinois and Indiana were both ranked and play each other. What's that say about the depth of the Big Ten Conference and maybe some of the changing of the guard in college football overall over the last few years?
Well, I think it's just an unprecedented time. I give Josh a lot of credit. Like, when I got here, we talked about, right, like, we knew the portal window was coming. We knew the NIL conversations were coming. But just in the last 2 years, 3 years, the way you can transition a roster, right? And for us, I've said this, it's one thing to retain your players, but when you can acquire players from other rosters, and it's not about pay. I mean, I get it. That's a part of the equation, but you got to find players that fit your system. And I think Indiana is a case in point. They've done a really, really, obviously he brought guys with him from JMU, but now you've seen the addition of some other guys that have come in, and he gets a player that they want, and we actually compete. I would say that we probably compete against Indiana in high school recruiting and portal windows as much as anybody else in the Big Ten. It's just the kind of systems we both run and the kind of players I think we look for. So that's unique. I tell you, a big one that's coming up on the docket, though, right? I know there's a lot of conversation. I saw something that the NCAA versus a couple things tomorrow, but this 5-for-5 is absolutely huge. So this is week 4, right? So I know that players on our roster, as well as all over college football, a 5-for-5, that eradicates the problem of a potential player coming and saying he wants a red shirt, right? So I know that it's on everybody's radar. It doesn't matter. I'm on a committee that basically represents all of college football, and I, as a AFCA, American Football Coach Association, work with Craig Bowl on that, and the uniform stance with all coaches. They want the 5-for-5 as soon as we can get it, because I think it could really affect rosters in a negative way here in the next couple of weeks. That's kind of scary to think about. So that's just another factor in today's world that we're living with. But yeah, without a doubt, I think the Big Ten, the SEC, ACC, Big 12 have continued to separate themselves. And obviously I'm part of the Big Ten, so I'm a little biased, but I think also the SEC, you watch games this weekend. I saw the Georgia-Tennessee game a little bit. When you play a night game, you get to see some of that stuff during the course of the day. And Saturday night I went back, and my wife and I, when we got back from here, we sat and watched the Cal Minnesota game, and obviously Cal's a really good football team as well. So there's good football everywhere.
So Kurt is a well-coached team. What do you see to say that?
There's very few plays that you can tell there's a mental breakdown or we always say that more games are lost than won in our program. Penalties, mental errors, and turnovers, and they just don't do those things, right? And very, very, very. I think a tale is always special teams. Like, you can have a group that has a really good offensive unit, defensive unit, but when special teams falls in line with that, that's usually something that kind of just goes ding, ding, ding. This is a universal approach. And I think just the fact that those coaches have stayed with him right through everything. Obviously, he's kept putting his. Everybody keeps getting bumped in salaries, which probably makes it a little easier too. But you just meet an Indiana coach and they love the game, right? It wasn't surprising. Bob Bostad, who he didn't know, right? He retained him, but Bo fits that DNA, right, of what it plays out. I did want to say this in my opening press. Also, congratulations to Kirk Ferentz when he said Kurt. I was able to talk to a few media people last week when they knew that record was probably going to be moving. I was with Kirk for 3 years. He was a assistant coach when I was a player. I almost literally played for him one day. He came and worked me out as an offensive lineman when I was a D lineman. And I always thought if he hadn't taken that main job, I might have actually switched to O-line, which is kind of crazy to think about how that could have changed my life. But, I shot a group text just to the Big Ten coaches, right? What he accomplished is mind-boggling, right? And what's happened there. And can't put your arms around it. But congratulations to Kirk and his staff on a pretty awesome environment.
You mentioned 5 for 5, but if that's approved, how would that impact current 4-year seniors?
Yeah, well, two things. So we have 26 freshmen that could have a redshirt year. We're only playing probably 4 to 5 of those guys. Still kind of to be determined. Obviously, we played Grant Bierman the other day and going to play him this week. But then I have 20 guys on my roster who have red shirts available. A guy like Hank Beatty, all of a sudden he could get a 5th year, right? Like Xavier Scott, Gabe Ackus. Not saying they will, but that's available. And there's, Angelo McCollum, the guy played for us as a freshman, right? So he gets another year back. All these guys that have again, like Xavier and Gabe are extreme because they played so well as freshmen. They never redshirted and have never been injured. So they have that year available. Now, I think they're also going to be very high draft picks, so I don't know if I can afford them. But like that element is there, right? But for guys that haven't fulfilled their years in school with match with that opens the door for all those guys. So it affects 46 guys on our roster.
You expect to know something.
Well, I was hoping to know 2 weeks ago. I've been on this one for a while, and I get it. It's a new world in college football. As coaches, we discussed it last spring with Tony, and I know Tony's had a lot of conversations with other commissioners. Josh and I have had conversations. So I think it's probably moving in that direction. It just probably needs to move with a little more urgency. It would help everybody because I think that the one thing all coaches would not want right now is some conversations that aren't about the game on Saturday over the next 2-3 weeks. And teams that actually played in week 0, they're in week 4, potentially week 5 already. So it's a very delicate time in college football right now.
You mentioned defensive line depth, but Saturday you have some of your linebacker depth. Grant, Luke, JoJo as well. Just what do you like about that group?
Yeah, I was very JoJo. When we recruited JoJo, he was kind of an inside-outside. He actually scored a touchdown out here as a running back, right? And he just got in a really good burst and athletically is probably one of the more explosive, powerful athletes on our football team. So to kind of see the growth of him, I thought Archie's really done a nice job. We kind of played him outside last year, moved him back to inside, and Archie's a very talented coach, done that. I was really excited to see Grant Bierman get out there, obviously move around. We'll plan on escalating that role a little bit. James Kreutz, also is a guy that I'm excited to see exactly where he goes. I think when you have good linebackers come in the room, like it only elevates everybody's play. And then another guy that has just really continued, in my opinion, Malachi Hood. Just he ran down the quarterback there. He's a very explosive athlete that can do a lot of different things, and he just needed confidence. And it's fun to see that room grow. And I literally just met with Rosie. I know he is chomping at the bit to get out there, and I think he back in the mix. He just makes everybody else around him really good.
One more after this.
Gabe, obviously, but on the other side, at outside linebacker, that combo of Alec, Leon, Joe, Daniel, when he's healthy, what's that do for you?
I thought Alec played his best game. We actually gave him MVP. He did a nice, there's a play that was they tried to out leverage him to the right, and they motioned a guy in, and he just squared up, did a nice little move to get outside and perimeter. It was a really, really good outside linebacker play that I haven't seen him make that at this point. So super excited for Alec. Leon Lowry continues to grow. Joe Barna had a little bit of a back issue. It was funny because he had I said, did you, just by chance, I said, hey, what are you sleeping on? And he looked at me and he goes, oh, I just got a new mattress. I said, ding, ding, ding. Sometimes new mattresses give new problems, right? So he was in the process of recalling his old another problem of NIL. They hadn't thought about that, right? Now guys have to spend money on new mattresses more than everybody ever thought. But he got back into rehab and he felt better on Saturday than he had in weeks. So I think he's actually feeling really good now. Joe Barna, in our opinion, going into our opener, was playing as good as any outside backer that we had, and Gabe recognizes it too. And he's probably a little more Gabe-ish than he is Fox, but he's a very talented player.
Real good. Anything else?
I wanted to ask you about
Yeah.
David Olano was 23 for 23 on touchbacks for kickoffs. What's that mean for you guys?
Well, first off, you shouldn't pipe off to somebody that's 3 times his size, right? I'm like walking back to the sideline. All of a sudden, I see my kicker go flying in the air, and I thought the guy just did it. I go, what'd you do? And he goes, well, he was hitting somebody late, and I told him that was, I'm like, okay, let's not have our kicker spearhead, inter squad scrimmages here. He's just. What I love about David, he came to high school camp. He's an extremely confident kid. And he literally came up to me and he said, Coach, if you want to start off kicking into the wind, a lot of times I'll take the wind in the second half. If I feel if you got to play to win in the fourth quarter, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So I usually just do with what can bring success. So critical point, we're coming out of the locker room at halftime. It's 10-0. I knew we needed to do something, right? We could have been sitting if they had hit that field goal and got in at the end, it could have been a 10-10 game. So I just really felt we needed to start with urgency in that second half. So I took the win because I knew we were going to be kicking off. But he said, Coach, I can kick it off to going the other way in the end zone too. But I wanted to feel good about everything. But his confidence through the roof on kickoff, I do think we got to think about we are scoring some points now. And you kick 5-6 kickoffs in addition to the PATs, like you could strain a guy. That's why I put Osada in there at that last kick. I just felt where we were at a good spot. He was feeling good. Let's have somebody else. Plus, we hadn't covered a kick yet. So to get that on film, and Sabor Kareem did an awesome job. But, yeah, David's been extremely talented in the kickoffs as well.